The circular chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Captain Jiwoo Park stepped forward. Light from the artificial stars above cast sharp shadows across her face. She had rehearsed this moment countless times, yet nothing could truly prepare her for what she was about to do. 17 alien species watched her, some with concern, others with curiosity, and a few with poorly hidden disdain. After all, humans were still considered newcomers to galactic society, barely worth attention, despite their 63 years of membership. The United Earth Alliance thanks the Council for this audience, Jiwoo began, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. I stand before you not as a supplicant, but as a representative of humanity demanding justice. Admiral Tae-hyun Kim stood at attention behind her. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but his hand rested on the data tablet containing evidence that would change everything. 3 weeks ago, the colony of New Busan was attacked, Jiwoo continued. 3,241 humans died. Men, women, and children who believed in the protection promised by this council. The Vicarian ambassador shifted uncomfortably, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the chamber. His 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a tell Jiwoo had learned meant nervousness in his species. Captain Park, interrupted Councillor Drav of the Cephians, his tentacled appendages gesturing dismissively, we understand your distress. However, there is no conclusive evidence that the Vicarian Dominion was responsible for this tragedy. It could have been pirates, or perhaps even a terrible accident. Several council members nodded in agreement. It was the same response humans had received after attacks on 5 other colonies in the past year. Always the same excuses, the same delays, the same empty promises of investigation. Jiwoo looked directly at the Vicarian ambassador. We no longer require your validation, Councillor. She nodded to Admiral Tae-hyun, who activated his tablet. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the smoking ruins of New Busan colony. The images shifted to security footage of Vicarian warships entering the colony's airspace, then to intercepted communications between Vicarian commanders. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. But Jiwoo wasn't finished. For those who will claim, this evidence is fabricated, we have more. Another gesture from Tae-hyun and new holograms appeared, financial transactions from 3 council members to Vicarian military accounts just days before the attack. Chaos engulfed the chamber. The accused council members shouted denials. Others demanded explanations. Through it all, Jiwoo stood unwavering, her eyes never leaving the Vicarian ambassador, whose mandibles now clicked rapidly in distress. Humanity has followed every rule, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. We signed your treaties. We respected your boundaries. We shared our resources. We even limited our military presence as requested, despite knowing it left our people vulnerable. The room quieted, sensing the weight of what was coming next. That ends today. Director Min Jae Kang stepped forward, placing a small device on the floor. It projected the official seal of the United Earth Alliance. By unanimous vote of Earth's United Nations and all 47 colonial governments, humanity hereby withdraws from all military restrictions imposed by the Galactic Council Charter, effective immediately. Several gasps echoed through the chamber. No species had ever dared to unilaterally withdraw from Council military oversight. This is unacceptable, shouted the Artaxian representative. The Charter also clearly states that the Council must protect all member species equally, Jiwoo interrupted. You failed, repeatedly. We will now protect ourselves. The Zithian observer, normally silent during proceedings, spoke up. You must realize this action will have severe consequences for Earth's standing and trade agreements. Jiwoo smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It wasn't a pleasant smile. We anticipated that response. She nodded to Tae-hyun again, who displayed a new set of data, charts showing how human ships had been quietly stockpiling resources for years, establishing hidden supply lines, and securing alternative trade partners outside Council space. Humanity doesn't wish for conflict, Jiwoo said, her voice softer now. We still believe in cooperation and peace, but we will no longer pretend that this Council treats all species equally. We will no longer accept being sacrificed for political convenience." She turned to leave, then paused and looked back at the stunned assembly. "The Vicarian attacks will stop. Either by your action or ours, you have 24 hours to decide which you prefer." As the human delegation exited the chamber, emergency alarms began to sound throughout Council space. Sensors were detecting hundreds of previously unknown human vessels, dropping their camouflage shields near strategic locations. Humanity's patience had finally, irrevocably shattered. Admiral Tae-hyun Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the stars through the massive view screen. His hands were clasped behind his back, posture perfect despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. "Today everything would change. All ships report ready status, Admiral," said Commander Do-Yun Lee from the tactical station. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed excitement. Tae-hyun nodded once. "Begin Operation Thunderclap. Throughout 7 star systems, 200 human ships simultaneously dropped their camouflage fields. For decades, humanity had presented a face of minimal military capability to the galaxy. Their ships appeared outdated, their weapons limited, their defenses basic. It had been the perfect deception. The true human fleet was something else entirely. Sleek vessels with hull materials that absorbed scanning beams, engines that left no energy signature, weapon systems that the Galactic Council believed were still theoretical. On the Vicarian military command station orbiting their colony world, Vex Prime, General Kraz stared at his detection screens in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered as alerts blared around him. "Where did they come from? How did they get past our sensor grid?" "Sir," his aide reported, voice shaking, "we're detecting human vessels in all 7 of our frontier systems. They appeared from nowhere." Before Kraz could issue orders, the station shuddered, not from weapons fire, but from something more unsettling, precise, gravitational manipulation that disabled their weapons systems without destroying them. Across Vicarian space, the scene repeated. Military installations found their power systems offline. Defensive grids collapsed. Communication arrays went silent, all without a single shot fired. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Tae-hyun watched the operation unfold through live tactical feeds. 2 decades of planning executed with perfect precision. "Phase 1 complete, Admiral," reported Commander Do-hyun. "All targeted Vicarian military installations have been neutralized with minimal casualties, just as you specified." Tae-hyun nodded. This wasn't about revenge or destruction. It was about sending a message. Open a channel to Vicarian High Command. On the Vicarian homeworld, High General Vrax burst into the emergency command center, his normally neat uniform disheveled from his rushed arrival. "Status report," he demanded. "Sir, we've lost contact with all outer colony defense systems," and C. officer reported. "Human ships are in position around every major military installation we have outside the home system." "Impossible," Vrax hissed. "Their fleet is a fraction of our size. Their technology is generations behind ours." "Apparently not, sir," the officer replied, displaying captured images of the human vessels. Their design was unlike anything in Vicarian. Records, the main screen activated, showing a human face. "Admiral Tae-hyun Kim of Earth." "Hi, General Vrax," Tae-hyun said with a small bow of his head. "I trust I have your attention." Vrax's mandibles clicked in anger. "This act of aggression will not stand, human." The Council, Tae-hyun interrupted, "has been informed of our actions. They are currently reviewing the evidence of your attacks on our colonies and your bribes to Council officials." Vrax fell silent. The human spoke with absolute certainty. "For 63 years, Tae-hyun continued, humanity limited our military presence as requested. We showed you only what we wanted you to see. You mistook our restraint for weakness, our patience for fear." Screens around Vrax showed more human ships appearing near other Vicarian holdings. "This is a demonstration, not an invasion," Tae-hyun said. "We have disabled your military capabilities beyond your home system without taking a single Vicarian life. We could have destroyed everything, but that is not our way." On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Ji-young Choi approached Tae-hyun with a data tablet. "Sir, we're receiving emergency communications from 7 council races. They're requesting immediate discussions with Earth representatives. Taehyun nodded but kept his eyes on Vrax's image. You have two options, High General. Cease all aggression against human colonies and withdraw to your borders, or discover what happens when humanity truly goes to war. The transmission ended. On the bridge, a moment of silence followed. Do you think they'll back down, sir? Commander Do-hyun asked. The smart ones will, Taehyun replied. The others will need further convincing. Reports flowed in from across the operation zone. Not a single human ship lost. Not a single civilian casualty on either side. Operation Thunderclap had achieved its primary objective, to demonstrate humanity's true capabilities without unnecessary bloodshed. On the Vicarian. Homeworld. Vrax stared at the blank screen where Taehyun's face had been. His aide approached cautiously. High General, what are your orders? Vrax's four eyes blinked rapidly, processing what he had witnessed. The humans had been hiding their true strength all along. Hiding and watching. Contact the Supreme Commander, Vrax said finally. Tell him we gravely underestimated the humans. And across the galaxy, other species began to wonder what else humanity might be hiding. The Emergency Council session was in its fourth hour when Director Min-jae Kang of Earth Intelligence entered the chamber. The room fell silent as he walked to the center, his footsteps echoing against the marble floor. 6 aides followed him, each carrying data tablets and folders. Min-jae looked nothing like the intimidating figure many had expected. He was of average height with kind eyes behind simple glasses, yet the council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats as he approached. Word of Operation Thunderclap had spread quickly through galactic channels. Director Kang, began the Artaxian representative, his crystalline form glinting under the chamber lights. This unilateral military action violates at least 16 provisions of the charter that your planet signed. Min-jae smiled slightly. An interesting perspective, considering the charter has been selectively enforced against humanity since we joined. He nodded to one of his aides, who projected a holographic display of documents. Perhaps we should discuss the 17 documented instances where Artaxian merchants violated our territorial boundaries in the past year alone. The Artaxians' crystal structure dimmed in embarrassment. Or maybe, Min-jae continued, turning to face the Cephian delegate, we should examine how the technology-sharing provisions of the Charter have resulted in 97% of transfers, flowing from Earth to other worlds, with only 3% coming to us. One by one, Min-jae addressed each objection with calm precision and overwhelming evidence. He never raised his voice. He never made threats. He simply presented facts that none could dispute. Humanity joined this council believing in its stated principles, Min-jae said, walking slowly around the chamber. Mutual protection, fair trade, shared prosperity. Instead, we found ourselves expected to give, while receiving little in return, to follow rules that others ignored, to trust in protection that never came. In the gallery above, Captain Jiwoo Park watched with quiet satisfaction. This was the culmination of years of careful documentation and planning. What exactly does Earth want? Asked the Zithian observer, her feathered crest rising in agitation. Min-jae placed a small device on the floor. It projected a complex three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with trade routes, military positions, and resource flows all clearly marked. This is Contingency Protocol Omega, he explained, a comprehensive blueprint for humanity's survival and prosperity, independent of the galactic community. We began developing it 30 years ago when we first realized the Council's true nature. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the implications became clear. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. We don't wish to leave the galactic community, Min-jae continued, but we will no longer accept second-class status within it. These are our terms for continued cooperation. A new projection appeared, listing Earth's requirements. Equal enforcement of charter provisions, reparations for the colonies attacked by the Vicarians, removal of the corrupted council members, and recognition of humanity's right to maintain its full military capacity. You cannot seriously expect us to accept these demands, the Artaxian representative sputtered. Min-jae shrugged. They aren't demands. They are the conditions under which we remain engaged with the Council. You're free to refuse. The projection changed again, showing the new trade routes and defensive positions Earth would establish if the Council rejected their terms. Later that day, in a private meeting room adjacent to the main chamber, a small delegation approached, Minjae and Jiwoo. Leading them was the ambassador from the Mithran Collective, a small amphibian humanoid whose species controlled few resources but occupied an important strategic position. Director Kang, Captain Park, the Mithran said, bowing slightly, "My government wishes to propose a mutual defense pact with Earth, separate from Council arrangements." Jiwoo raised an eyebrow. "The Mithrans have consistently voted against human interests in Council matters. Why the sudden change?" The ambassador's skin flushed a deeper blue. "We may have misjudged Earth's position in the galactic order. Recent events suggest your friendship would be valuable." By the end of the day, representatives from 7 smaller species had made similar approaches. Each had previously aligned with the stronger council members out of necessity. Now they saw an opportunity for genuine partnership with a power that had demonstrated both strength and restraint. In his temporary office at the council station, Minjae reviewed the day's developments with Jiwoo. "Phase 3 is proceeding faster than anticipated," he noted, updating his reports. Jiwoo nodded. "The Vicarians haven't responded to our terms yet." "They will," Minjae said confidently. "Their internal communications show their military leadership is in disarray. Some want to strike back immediately. Others recognize the futility, and if they choose poorly..." Minjae looked up from his work. "Then we proceed to Phase 4. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Humanity didn't come to the stars looking for war." Outside their window, the great spiral of the galaxy spread out before them. Somewhere out there, human ships were taking up new positions, ready for whatever came next. The message was clear to anyone watching. Humanity's patience had finally run out, but their capacity for planning had not. Lieutenant Ji-Young Choi's fingers moved rapidly over the holographic controls of Earth's orbital defense platform, Aegis 7. The massive station hung in space above the blue-green planet, one of 12 such platforms that had remained dormant for decades, until today. "Contact at the edge of the solar system," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension filling the command center. "Vicarian signatures. Large fleet, at least 30 capital ships and supporting vessels." General Hyunwoo Seo nodded calmly. The silver-haired commander stood with his hands clasped behind his back, studying the tactical display. "Right on schedule." No one in the room showed surprise or panic. This response had been anticipated for years. It was precisely why Earth had maintained the appearance of minimal planetary defenses, a few visible orbital platforms, a modest planetary shield, just enough to make the Vicarians believe a swift strike could cripple humanity's homeworld. "All defense platforms report ready status," Ji-Young continued. "Lunar fleet is in position. Planetary shield generators at standby." Hyunwoo tapped his communication badge. "This is General Hyunwoo Seo to all Earth Defense Command units. Operation Aegis is now active. Maintain stealth protocols until my mark." Throughout the solar system, hidden sensors tracked the approaching Vicarian fleet. The alien vessels moved with confidence, following standard attack formation. Their scouts had reported minimal defenses around Earth, exactly what humanity had wanted them to see. "They'll be in weapons range in 17 minutes, Ji-Young reported. Hyunwoo nodded again. Open communication channel. The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the Vicarian command ship. Supreme Commander Zalax stood there, his tall, insectoid form radiating arrogance. 4 arms were crossed over his armored chest. "This is General Hyunwoo Seo of Earth Defense Command to the Vicarian fleet. You have entered restricted space with hostile intent. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zalax's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Your threats are meaningless, human. Your outer colonies may have had unexpected defenses, but we know exactly what protects Earth. Your homeworld will burn as payment for your insolence, sir." Hyunwoo's expression remained neutral. "Final warning, Commander Zalax. Retreat now." The Vicarian cut the transmission. On the tactical display, the enemy fleet accelerated toward Earth. "They've launched first wave of plasma torpedoes," Ji-Young reported. "Impact in 3 minutes." Activate gravitational interception fields, Hyunwoo ordered. As the Vicarian weapons streaked toward Earth, invisible fields of precisely calibrated gravitational force reached out to meet them. The torpedoes, designed to penetrate conventional shields, suddenly slowed, then stopped, then simply came apart. Their component particles separated and dispersed harmlessly into space. On the Vicarian command ship, Xalax stared in disbelief at his tactical officer. What happened? Unknown, Supreme Commander. The torpedoes never reached their targets. They just disintegrated. Impossible. Launch the second wave with modified shields. Back on Aegis 7, Hyunwoo gave a small nod. Reveal Lunar Defense Fleet. From the dark side of Earth's moon, hundreds of sleek vessels emerged. They were unlike any ships the Vicarians had ever encountered. No visible engines, no conventional weapons ports. They moved with impossible grace, seemingly ignoring the normal rules of inertia. What is this trickery? Xalax demanded as his sensors registered the new threat. No trickery, Commander, Hyunwoo replied, reopening the channel. Just the truth we've kept hidden while you and the Council played your games. Across the solar system, thousands of previously dormant satellites activated. Earth's planetary shield, which had appeared modest in power, suddenly intensified to levels thought impossible with current technology. The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. The Vicarian ships found their weapons neutralized, their engines disabled by precise gravitational manipulations. Not a single vessel was destroyed. That wasn't the goal. Instead, they were systematically disabled and boarded by human special forces. When Supreme Commander Xalax was brought before General Hyunwoo on Aegis 7, the once proud Vicarian seemed diminished. His exoskeleton, normally bright with confidence, had dulled to a matte gray. You could have destroyed us all, Xalax said quietly. At any time. Hyunwoo shook his head. That was never our intention. We are not conquerors, Commander. We never have been. Then what are you? Survivors, Hyunwoo replied simply. Our planet taught us harsh lessons long before we reached the stars. We learned to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Xalax's 4 eyes blinked in succession. The ancient warnings about your planet. They called Earth a death world. We thought it was superstition. It wasn't the planet they should have feared, Hyunwoo said. It was what the planet created in us, resilience, foresight, and when necessary, the will to act decisively, as I. The captured Vicarian commander was led away. Reports came in from across the galaxy. 7 council races had formally severed ties with the Vicarian Dominion. 3 more had requested immediate peace negotiations with Earth. The message was spreading quickly. Humanity had finally revealed its true nature, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the failed Vicarian attack on Earth, Ambassador Sun Hee-yoon stood at the center of the newly constructed Concordat chamber. Sunlight streamed through the crystal dome above, casting rainbow patterns across the polished stone floor. Representatives from 13 species sat in a circle around her, a stark contrast to the hierarchical arrangement of the old Galactic Council. Sun Hee wore a simple white uniform with Earth's new emblem, a stylized globe wrapped in stars. At 58, she had spent most of her career working quietly behind the scenes in Earth's diplomatic corps. Now she found herself the face of humanity's new approach to galactic relations. The Terran Concordat officially begins today, she said, her voice calm but carrying to every corner of the chamber. This alliance is built on 3 principles: mutual respect, fair exchange, and collective defense. Around the room, translators hummed softly, converting her words into the native languages of each species. Unlike the old council, where status determined seating and speaking order, here all members were equals. Humanity came to the stars hoping for partnership, Sun Hee continued. We found politics instead. We adapted, we prepared, but our preference has always been cooperation. The Mithran representative, small and blue-skinned, nodded in agreement. His people had been among the first to seek alliance with Earth after Operation Thunderclap revealed humanity's true capabilities. The age of secrecy between us is over, Sun Hee said, activating a holographic display. It showed the latest human technology openly shared with Concordat members, advancements in medicine, energy production, and environmental restoration that Humanity had developed, but kept hidden from potential adversaries. In the front row, the new Vicarian representative watched with a mixture of respect and lingering wariness. The Solar Accords, signed 2 months earlier, had restructured the Vicarian government and placed strict limits on their military expansion. It was a harsh peace, but fair. No reparations had been demanded, only assurances that aggression would not resume. After the formal ceremony, Sun He met privately with Admiral Tae-hyun and Director Min-jae in a small garden adjacent to the chamber. Cherry blossoms from Earth drifted down around them, a touch of home on this distant station. "Phase 2? Tae-hyun asked quietly. Sun He nodded. "It's time. The Quantum Transportation Network project begins next month." Min-jae smiled, the first genuine smile either had seen from him in years. Finally. After all this planning, we can actually build the future we envisioned. "Have all the resources been allocated?" Tae-hyun asked. "Yes," Sun He replied. 7 concordant worlds have already committed materials and research teams. Dr. Junsu's laboratory is being expanded to serve as the main research hub. Beneath the Himalayan mountains on Earth, Dr. Junsu Park stood before the prototype that represented decades of secret work. The sphere of swirling energy, no larger than a basketball, contained enough potential to change everything. "Power levels, stable," reported his assistant. "Quantum entanglement at 98% across the test range." Junsu nodded, making notes on his tablet. The technology would reduce interstellar travel from months to moments, linking the galaxy in ways previously thought impossible. On a former Vicarian colony world, now opened to settlers of all species, a mixed team of human and alien scientists were already preparing the first hub station. Where the old council had maintained power by keeping species separate and competitive, the Concordat would derive strength from connection and cooperation. Back. In the Concordat chamber, as representatives mingled after the ceremony, a young aide approached Sun He with an urgent message. "Ambassador, we've received communications from 5 council races requesting membership in the Concordat." Sun He raised an eyebrow. "Including the Artaxians?" "Yes, Ambassador. Their message indicates they've replaced their previous government." Sun He shared a knowing look with Tae-hyun and Min-jae. The old powers were realizing that the game had changed fundamentally. The careful balance of intimidation and alliance that had maintained the Council's power for centuries had been disrupted, perhaps forever. "Tell them applications will be considered at next month's General Assembly," Sun He replied. "All applicants will need to demonstrate their commitment to Concordat principles." Later that evening, as the station's artificial night cycle began, Sun He stood at a viewport, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, thousands of human ships were being repurposed from defense to exploration and commerce. Scientists long, constrained by secrecy, were finally free to share their discoveries. Humanity had never wanted domination. They had simply reached the point where patience alone could no longer ensure their survival. Now, with newfound respect from the galactic community, they could finally begin building the future they had been planning all along. A galaxy united not by fear or politics, but by genuine cooperation and shared progress. The stars seemed brighter, somehow as if reflecting the promise of this new beginning. The moment humanity's patience had shattered had become the moment a better galaxy could begin to form.